All right, to celebrate 21 years of ownership and 200,000 miles, we're going to do the VANOS on this BMW. First I started getting an intermittent problem where there was no engine code, but before it got completely warmed up, it would buck. It would kind of it would just hiccup and nothing happened. And then finally it just lost power altogether. It's hard starting. And I finally threw a code. I thought it's an erroneous code. I think if I fix the VANOS, the code will go away. It's a crank angle sensor code. You know, that was a little bit of a bear to get to on this car, but we replaced it in the same code, same problem. But it's hard starting, and it's a dog trying to drive it. Let's get it started here, see what happens. I actually just pulled into the driveway. We're going to get up on the Rhino ramps here and drain the oil. It's due for an oil service too, but it's hard starting. Let's get this fan off. That's how it starts. It used to just fire right up, but let's tear it down and get started. All right, here's what it looks like at 200,000 miles. We've got to pull out. This cabin air intake and the filter in there. We've got to pull out these trim covers. Then the valve cover comes off. Actually, before the valve cover comes off, we've got to pull the ignition coils. I'm going to do a spark plug replacement, as well as I've got the coil boots. I'll show you later. But then this is the VANOS unit I've got to pull out. I haven't had it out of this car before. This is the first time doing the VANOS. I want to reseal it and put the what they call the Anti-Rattle Kit in there, because this is a 3-liter engine, and the VANOS tends to rattle on this model, and mine does. I've done the hoses recently. I've got to completely redo the power steering next. We're going to do an oil service as well today. So let's get this going. Alright, here's what it looks like with the valve cover, with the cabin filter housing out, and the trim covers off. I'm going to pull the valve cover here in a second. Well, it'll take me more in a second. I've got to get the coil packs off. These come off, as I recall, pretty easily. You just kind of flip these clips up. Oh yeah, it just came right up. And I think it pulls right off. There it goes, just like that. We'll just do that, and then I got to pull this harness up out of the way. We'll get the valve cover off, and then we'll get a little closer. We got a few bits to get off here first. I've had the valve cover off before; it leaked, so I'm no stranger to up to this point. I'm just throwing the parts in the back seat. You know, I know the customer on this one; he won't get mad. These ignition coils look pretty good. The rubber's pretty supple still. They're not ruined by oil, so there were no leaks. Alright, this is the first time I've seen the inside of this engine in probably 100,000 miles. That's how long those spark plug boots have been in here in the last set of spark plugs, so we're going to do that too. But this engine looks damn clean. Let's get in here with the flashlight. You can see how clean this is. Minimal wear on the cams that I can see. Haven't looked at the intake cam, but this is the exhaust cam. Nice pointy cam profile there. Look at that. That is pointy. That's a pointy look. Oh, there's my finger. That is a pointy camel. That's clean in here. This is 200,000 miles. I've been mostly using. I've probably used other oils in here. I think Mobil 1 and maybe some Redline from time to time. But yeah, you're looking at 200,000 miles. Pretty. I haven't been religious about the oil changes. I only do it when the light goes on. You know, so that's the deal. And this is, I think, a 12 or 15,000 miles between service on this one. This is the VANOS unit that I'm going to pull out. This whole front piece is going to come out. I'm going to pull this off. It'll come out. It'll be pretty easy. There's some seals in here I need to reseal. Some pistons and seals I need to take apart, and some needle bearings. Let's get to it. It's looking good though. Here's a look at the underside of the valve cover. You know, not a lot of buildup in there either. It looks pretty clean. Make easy work to clean it up. Alright, here's what it looks like with the VANOS unit off. Pretty stout timing chain, and you know, everything under here is also looking clean. Had to get my surgery recycled shopping bags here to take up the blood, and we're bleeding off the letting it bleed out here, the resected piece here. And then next up, what we got to do is we got to take all these bolts out, and then we'll pull out the piston and reseal it. Alright, let's go over the parts list here. Of course, I went with NGK spark plugs and NGK spark plug boots here. Here's one out of the package. The ones that are in there have 200,000 miles on them, and they really don't seem too much different from these brand new ones from NGK. Ordered them direct, got free shipping, etc. On the NGK website. Got the NGK spark plugs, of course. I'm an NGK fanboy and spark plugs for sure. These remind me of the rotary engine spark plugs with the 4 prongs here. And this is the Thanos Rebuild Kit. So each piston has two small seals and 2 large seals, and we've got 3 gaskets here. And doing an oil change today with a man filter. And as far as the valve cover gasket and the bolt seals, I went with Felpro. I think those will be fine. I didn't go with factory. I usually do. Man, I think, is a factory OEM. But yeah, that's it. We're going to put all that stuff on. Okay, here's a look at the Vanos here. Got the housings off. This one has 5 bolts. This one has 4 bolts. Got a couple of gaskets here. They're included with the kit, as well as the gasket that goes here. It's right here in the pan. These are the these should be nice and tightly sealed. They're pretty loosey goosey here, as you can see. The only thing kind of holding in is the oil suction, but they're loosey goosey, and that's my issue. They should be really kind of tight, in and out fit. But like I said, we're going to do these seals here. So there's double seals here and here, and that's what we're going to replace. Stay tuned. Alright, so this is the Thanos Rebuild Kit, and I think I said before, it includes the 3 gaskets and all the O-rings. And then this is the Anti-Rattle Kit. I mean, I got it as one package on Amazon. It includes needle bearings. I don't think the needle bearings in here are part of the Anti-Rattle Kit, but these rings are. These machined rings are. I don't know if I'm going to replace. Everybody calls these 10mm bolts. They're actually 6mm by 1.00 thread pitch bolts with a 10mm head size bolts. That's what I call them. And I'll be replacing those. It includes the kit includes these plugs that I removed, and there are also some nylon plugs here that it includes that are actually beneath these. So I don't know why they're separate in the kit, but I'm probably just going to save these 6 by 1.00 bolts for later and use the OEM ones. There's nothing wrong with them. And I don't, as far as I know, they're not stretched to fit or whatever they call those. But this is kind of a cheap kit from Amazon. You can get these from various BMW suppliers for twice the price, and I think you can get them even on Amazon for less than I paid. But I went with a reseller that had, I think this is it, the i6 Motorworks reseller kit. Which is probably double the price of other things on Amazon, but half the price that it is on BMW websites. But it had a bunch of positive reviews. That's why I went with this particular kit. I've already got my own Loctite, so I'll probably skip that. I don't know if I'll need to replace these needle bearings or not. I'll evaluate those very shortly once I get to that point. I may put these in. I may put the old ones back in, who knows. Alright, as far as getting these Vanos pistons apart, it really wasn't a problem. Oops, where'd the needle bearing go? It dropped. I'll find it later. But I just I know there's a kit to put these things in a vise so you can bust them loose with an impact gun. But I was able just to get some paper towel and hold them in one hand, like this, and with the impact gun in the other hand rather than a video camera, bust them loose. It's a 24mm socket, and they came right loose. So now I can rebuild them. Not a problem. I'll tighten them in the same way. Alright, continuing on part of background noise. It's a pretty rainy day here today, but we've got the Vanos body here cleaned up. It's super clean as I can get it, and cleaned out the solenoids, got the pistons resealed, and we have these are super clean as well. They move real well. They were really loose fitting before, but they fit tightly into this part as well as they have. It's a two-stage, two sets of seals here, the inner and the outer. They fit a nice tight fit in this one as well as this one, and we're going to put them back together. New gaskets came with the kit. Okay, these are the takeout parts after 200,000 miles. These are the inner and outer seals, the large ones, and then there are some small ones, inner and outer. The inner ones are supposed to be a more pliable rubber. These are hard as a rock on this one, and these outer seals are more of a Teflon. Again, these inner ones are hard as a rock. They shouldn't be, and the seal was very loose. This was a spacer. This was replaced by the anti-rattle spacer. I couldn't tell what the difference was. I didn't get the micrometer out on it, but it might be a little narrower on the anti-rattle or wider, who knows. And it came with new needle bearings. I put those on as well. The kit comes with the replacement, these cap screws and the seals, the washers, as well as these nylon plugs. So let's get this back together now that it's super clean. Get this thing running. We've already replaced the spark plugs. They didn't look too bad for 100,000 miles. It's about, well, I replaced them about 100,000 miles ago. We're going to have to tune up this wiring. It's kind of breaking apart. It's pretty typical, just like the Jeep. I've got some new stuff, which is the same size here. And then also for this end, this is special BMW tape. It's like a textured electrical tape. And I have the authentic textured BMW electrical tape right here. So we've got the oil drained out as well, and the oil filter replaced. Alright, here's a peek at the spark plugs. Again, this is 200,000 mile engine. Spark plugs at about 100,000 miles. That kind of shiny one at the top there, closest to my thumb, was number 1 cylinder. I figure the way they look the way they do because the car wasn't running very well. Ran like crap. Hard to start, no power. But yeah, they look decent for the way it was running. Alright, we've got it torqued back together. Looking pretty good here. Alright, that's what it's going to look like installed. This is the exhaust, this is the intake. Alright, let's get installed. And the Vanos unit is installed. Came with a couple of new banjo bolts here. But yep, it's bolted up, ready for a couple of bolts that go in here. A couple of bolts, screws, and caps. So 3 pieces in each side. And then we'll put this valve cover on. Okay, one last look here, but this is all finally put together with the caps on. There's some bolts that go reverse thread bolts, some plastic caps, and then these caps. We're ready to go. I hope not to see the inside of this engine again for another 100,000 miles or more. I don't think I should have to pull anything off for at least that. Maybe some spark plugs in the 100,000, but hopefully the valve cover gasket won't be leaking. It wasn't leaking now. Alright, I washed the valve cover and the beauty covers out in the rain last night. It was pouring rain. Got the bolts cleaned up, new seals on the bolts or the nuts, and this is a Felpro. It's all Felpro. So is this. We're not going to use. You don't really need RTV on here, but you do want to put like a little drop here and here, here and here, here and here, as well as these two, and then on the block. But these, I did the shake test. I turned it upside down. Sometimes the gaskets will fall down on you trying to install them. So I did the shake test. These fall out. So you put another drop or two here, to kind of, not a lot. You want use it very sparingly, but it'll help them from falling out as you install it. I also like to put a little bit of RTV right here, right where the joint comes together. and here, right across the top there. Alright, and here's what I mean by sparingly. Just a couple of dollops in there to hold the gasket in place. Alright, I probably got a bit happy on that one. And that one looks okay. Alright, I gave these a little gentle tug. They're not going to drop out on me, so that's why you put a little bit of a dab of silicone in there. Okay, we're all set with the ignition coils and the new spark plug boots. I went with NGK, pretty well made. I like NGK. The old ones with 200,000 miles were in pretty good shape. The rubber's still pretty good, just like the new ones. Hard to tell the difference, really. But that's what they look like, 200,000 miles. Okay, so this is what it looks like, all put back together, nice and clean. Like the contrast of the blue and the black and the little bit of gray there. Got just the right amount of silicone on there, but it actually runs great. It didn't at first. Even though we did the Vanos seals and I replaced the crank sensor, there it goes, I was still getting a crank sensor code, and it was still running poorly. Having the battery off and clearing codes by there's some old-fashioned tricks you can do to drain, supposedly drain what's left in the ECU and reset it. It didn't reset. Had to actually go out and order one of these on Amazon, one of these BMW specific BM700 by Ansel OBD2 reader. I've got several OBD2 readers and scanners, etc., but none of them could reset the Vanos. So once I did reset the adaptives, which I think reset the relationship between the crank sensor and the cam sensors, it started right up, and now it runs awesomely. So it took actually resetting this. Not sure if my crank sensor was actually bad, but I have reason to believe if it wasn't, it was worth replacing. Alright, not sure if this is going to come out too well on video, but you can see the cracks here that were developing in the end of the plastic of this crank angle sensor. You can see kind of, if you could see what I'm looking at here in person, I can see 3 little vertical cracks. I'm going to cut it open and see if any oil got inside here, because this pokes into the crankcase. So it's constantly hit by a hot oil, so it looks like I can probably cut it here with the Dremel across the top, get a peek inside it, and see if any oil got in it. So this is why I think I could have replaced this anyway. Alright, here's the sensor. I pretty much destroyed it getting it open. But it doesn't look like it was contaminated at all. The way it's built, it doesn't look like it's even possible. So it was replaced for nothing. I think it was the P0339 code. Bad intermittent signal from sensor caused by the Vanos.